Here are 5 tips for easier MPC One linear songwriting. Freebeat. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freebeat, where I post new music-related content every single day, so if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and be sure to check out my free upcoming live stream concert, Freebeat Live Clash of Fools. It's on Friday, April 2nd at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be a ton of fun. Hope to see you there. Let's get started. So I've had my MPC One for a couple of weeks now, and I've really fallen in love with it as a songwriting device. One of the main reasons I got it was its ability to go into a sequence and set that sequence to anywhere from 1 to 999 measures long, and basically turn that into a linear timeline like you would find on a traditional DAW. Look at that. Just like that, I dialed in 153 measures. And then you have your zoom and zoom out controls, full, touchscreen stuff as well, the cue links and all that. It's great for linear songwriting. However, there are a few things that I've come across that I wish I would have known, and I'm going to share those with you today. So I've got 5 tips and an honorable mention for how to make linear songwriting on the MPC One just a little bit more painless. And the first tip is so simple that I probably shouldn't have to say it, but I know if you're like me, you're lazy and you don't do this, just name all of your stuff. So name your project, save it as test, right? We're going to save. Name and save. I like to save everything to the SD card to some kind of external storage. We'll just save it to projects here. We'll call it test. I think I've already got something called test. We'll call it test 2. How about that? Look at that, saved. Then come down here, name your sequence. So this can be, like, for instance, the sequence number 1. This is probably going to be my whole song, so I can name it whatever I'm going to name my song, which is, we'll call it test with a P. How about that? Just like that. Name your tracks. Let's say track 1 is going to be drums. Let's say track 2 is going to be bass. And name your programs too, depending on what's in your track. Name your audio tracks as well. It's going to help you jump between tracks very, very easily, which you can do right up here. So name everything. It's that easy. There's your honorable mention. Also, I do have a new mic that I'm trying out, so bear with me while I dial in these settings. It sounds pretty good to me. Hopefully it sounds better to you guys. Guess we'll find out. Okay, so the first actual tip has to do with one of my few gripes with the MPC One, which is how it handles odd time signatures. It's really quite strange, actually. So let's dial our sequence back down to 2 measures. So we've got our sequence, which is 2 measures long. Let's say we want those to be in 7/8 instead of 4/4. So we have to go to Insert Bars. We have to go to 7 and 8 right there. We want to insert 2 bars, and we want those to come before bar number 1, right? So now we insert those. Now our sequence is 4 measures long, and if we look here, now we've got 2 bars of 7 and 2 bars of 4. Let me make sure the click's on. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have my metronome divided into 1/8 notes there, but you get the idea. It's kind of weird. Then you'd have to go back into Sequence Edit, go to Delete Bars. The first bar we're going to delete is bar 3. The last bar is bar 4. We delete those, back to the grid, and now we have 2 measures of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Repeat. So it's kind of stupid if you ask me that's how you have to do it, but luckily there is a workaround that I've found that actually works pretty well, and it comes in the form of something called user templates. So we're going to hold Shift and press Menu, or you can just double press Menu to get to the Preferences menu. We're going to go down here to Project Defaults. This menu here dictates what a new project entails. So when you hit New Project, this is what it'll pull up. So we can actually change the starting time signature of our project. So let's say 7/8 and let's say 1 measure, right? Cool, so there's our preferences saved. So now if we go back actually up here and click New, we're going to load in a brand new project. It should load in with 1 measure and 7/8. So let's go Empty Project. Sure enough, 1 measure long. Let's go to our grid, click on, go to the grid, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. So that's pretty cool. Now you might think that's going to be a pain in the butt to change every time that we want to, switch time signatures on the first measure of our track. And it would be. Luckily, if we go back to the main menu here, click the folder icon, you can click Save and Save as Template. So you could save this as, let's just say, 7/8. 7/8. So we could save that as 7/8. As you can see, I already have one saved as 7 right there. But now we can go back to our preferences. We can go back and change the project defaults back to the standard 4/4 or 2 measures long, however, whatever you usually work with. And now when we go back and load a new project, we can click on user template. And all of a sudden, now here we are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can save as many of those user templates as you want. So you can have user templates set up for every time signature that you want to work in. Kind of ridiculous that we have to go through that work to set it up, but once you have it set up, you're going to have all of those user templates saved and ready to go. So it's pretty nice. And then, of course, if we just go to straight up new project and click, new empty project, we're going to load right back into good old 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to load right back into 4/4. So pretty neat. Now this next tip is for if you plan on using multiple sequences and chaining those together later to make your song, and then maybe throwing audio tracks or more MIDI tracks on top of that in a linear fashion once you've composed your different sections using different sequences. And that is simply to click right here under the BPM where it says sequence and set it to master. Now, whatever you change this tempo here to, it will apply for every other sequence that you want to create as well. Just an easy, simple little tip, but it goes a long way in making things smoother. For instance, if I change the tempo to 134 here, and I have tempo set to sequence, now when I change sequences, now it's back to 120. However, if I set it to master, now all the rest of the sequences are also at 134. So use that as you need to, and obviously you don't have to use that, especially if you want to change tempos between sequences, but it took me way too long to figure out that you can just tap it to master, and then the tempo will carry over between all of your sequences. So the next tip is one that I always forget, but it's so easy. Set more measures than you think you need. And that's because we don't want to randomly run out of measures, especially when we're recording audio or MIDI data, because it'll loop back on itself and start overdubbing. So I usually start off by setting like 200 measures and just leaving it at that. It can be kind of a pain to navigate on the grid, but as long as you know where you are on your timeline and remember your Q-Link knobs, especially for zooming and moving around like that, it's pretty manageable, and it's nice to know that you're not going to run out of space and randomly have to go back and fix a whole bunch of stuff that you messed up by overlapping MIDI or audio data. So set more measures initially than you think you need, then you can fine-tune it later. So for this next tip here, we're going to load up a drum kit. Let's just get this 80s kit here, sure. So let's go ahead and play something in here. Record 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Let's look at what I recorded. So we're going to come zoom in here. Nice. All right, so there's what I recorded. So this is a very handy tip for copying and pasting MIDI data. So we're going to select the multi-select tool here. We're going to drag and highlight all of that right there. Now, if I just immediately hit copy, it's going to immediately copy and paste that data where the previous note ended. So go ahead and listen to this. It's going to sound wrong. 2, 3, 4. Hear how it gets off like that? It's actually super easy to fix. All we need to do is select nudge down here and make sure that all of our data is still highlighted, and using the main knob, we can nudge that, the whole group, as long as it's selected, to where we need it to be. So you see I just moved it straight to the downbeat of measure 2. Now, we're right where we need to be. And of course, we can do that again. Hit copy, nudge that over. We can do it again. Nudge that over. Again. Nudge that over. Again. Nudge it over. Again. Nudge it over. You guys get the idea. Same thing with edit note start and edit note end. So sometimes, let's jump into a synth track here. Let's just get a plug-in, and we'll tube synth. Sure. Let's record something. 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Let's take a look at that now. So let's say here that I accidentally, I'm going to overdub and play from right here. Let's say that I accidentally carried my MIDI note data too far there, as you can see on that top one. So if we zoom in, we can see we need it to stop at measure 3, because right now if we copy it, it's going to immediately paste it, being off center and everything. It's going to look all sorts of wonky. So what we can do is zoom in, highlight that note, then go to Edit End. And now you can see when I turn this knob, it moves the endpoint of that note. So we can have it end right at measure 3, reselect it, and now just copy and paste all of that. It's not going to sound good. Obviously, we need to do some more nudging in there, but you guys get the idea. Using these nudge, edit start, and edit end features with the wheel and the multi-select function, you can quickly fine-tune and dial in what you need to in your timeline. For the last tip, I'm going to need the help of a friend here in the form of the Teenage Engineering OPZ. We're going to talk about a quick audio track tip that seems pretty obvious at first, but some people might not realize it. So let's go into our audio tracks here. Input 1. There we go. And we'll bring it up a little bit. Cool. So let's say we want to record something here. What key were we in? C sharp minor. Gotta love that. So I'm going to go ahead and record an audio track here. Awesome. Well, that was absolutely terrible, but that's okay. So we are going to go look at our audio track. There it is. Now, this is just a really, really simple tip, but it's going to save you time and sampling space, recording space on your MPC One, and that is use the scissor tool to cut out audio that you don't need. So I started recording at the very start of the song, right? But I didn't start playing until it looks like measure 3. So we have almost 3 measures that are untouched and have no audio on them. So we can cut right there, hit the eraser tool, and erase that data beforehand. And it looks like we can probably zoom in there and cut about right there, eraser tool, and erase that data as well. And now let's go ahead and mute our MIDI track, this track right here, because it was not good. Let's go in and listen to our audio track. We can hear that it's going to be unaffected by those cuts. I cut it a little too early at the end, but you guys get the idea. It doesn't seem like that much of a tip right now, but trust me, when you get into some long songs and every second of sampling time counts, it's really going to save you some time. So there you guys go, 5 tips for easier MPC One linear song composition. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, go ahead and leave a like on it. If not, you can leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.